If you're a millennial, you I feel bad for you. No, but let me be serious. If you're a millennial, everything that your parents taught you, everything that my parents taught me, whatever they taught us, it could secretly be keeping you stuck. It could secretly be keeping you trapped, or it could just secretly be why your side hustle, your small business is not growing, or not getting you out of your job, or not creating the additional income in complement to your job that you thought. And the reason why I say this is because I do this so often. I'm about to tell you what this is, but I do this so often that I have to catch myself and stop myself. But first, let me back up before I tell you what this is, right? When you grow up as a millennial, growing up as a millennial, you were taught that doing things by yourself was the right thing. Doing it yourself, getting your hands dirty was the right thing, right? If you grew up where your parents did everything, whether they changed the oil, changed the tires, you didn't just learn a skill, right? If they fixing things around the house, they doing the landscape. You didn't just learn these skills, but you learned like for real a value system. And man, that value system of doing it yourself meant that you were responsible. Especially for men, like you the man, you the big dog. You can handle your own things. But also it meant you weren't lazy, right? So the value system meant one that you were responsible, but on the other side, it meant that you were not lazy. And I think that intersection, like where those two roads cross, is what gets a lot of us tripped up because we grew up in this weird era where we saw everybody do things with their hands. We grew up in this weird time where it was revered to be a man and change the oil and change the tires and have the women who slaved in the kitchen all day and everybody knew grandma knew how to sew and hem your pants and all these different things that were still very traditional. And then we kind of got stuck when the world transitioned into this gig economy, this technology economy, this move fast and hustle culture where now everybody has something for something, right? If you have a house, people are hiring cleaners once a month. If you have a yard, people are hiring landscape people. Even if they don't have no landscape, they hiring people to literally cut their grass. And I'm not saying that these things haven't always been around, but it has been it has been made affordable or afforded to people at now all levels of the economy, right? So you basically were rich if you could afford these things. Now, because of technology and innovation and lower barriers to entry, everybody can experience and afford these things on some scale, possibly, right? Arguably, possibly, maybe, but everybody has experienced these things. And if you haven't experienced these things yourself, you know somebody you work with or a friend who has experienced some of these things. They have a house cleaner or a landscaper or a dog walker when they're out of town or a boarding place for their dog when they go out of town. But the value system that was created and also it meaning that you were not lazy, responsible and not lazy, that lesson, um, it affects the way you run business. Not only does it affect the way you run business, it affects how you even get to show up to your business. And I think that's where I want to stay is because you were taught to do everything yourself, you're showing up to your business tired. You're showing up to your business without the capacity to run your business. Reason I say that is this is so wired that think about the Saturday morning programming where your parents or your grandparents got up early, they cut the grass, they fixed the car, they washed the car, all these different things. We like to talk like we have it figured out as millennials, but we do the same thing that our grandparents and parents did, but unfortunately, it is a time suck and it is not conducive to where we're trying to go, right? So when I was talking about this thing, and I do this thing all the time, um, really what this thing is fall into old habits, right? So for me, literally 3 days ago, I had all the plan in the world to get some work done when I got home, and some kind of way, just out of muscle memory, sheer muscle memory, I started organizing the garage. Did it need to be organized? It was one of these things on my to-do list, but why is it even on my to-do list? It wasn't messy. Let's be clear. It's not messy and it's already organized, but it's one of those things where because I saw the grandparents and parents tinker around in the garage so much, I just fall into this habit. And you look up 3 hours later and I'm like, yo, I just wasted 3 hours. Like it looks the same. And now I have to vacuum because I pulled things down. And now the floor's dirty from just me moving things around and like little pieces of cardboard coming off because I almost broke the box because I'm dropping them because I'm rushing now. So in the midst of that, it made me realize like, yo, doing this on your own is a bad habit you have to break. But you can't just break the habit by identifying this thing. You have to say where it stems from. And there's so many things that I do that I technically maybe I could ration out at a cost, of course, which is probably the thing that's most uncomfortable for me. I could ration these things out at a cost and get my time back and actually make money. But for some reason, I don't know why I keep leaning into these things that aren't difficult, but are definitely time sucks and definitely energy sucks. And so it's very subtle. You know, you have a dog and then you're like, "Oh man, you know what? I should fix this corner so it's easier to navigate this." And next thing you know, you're spending 3 hours doing this thing for the dog, or you see the tree needs to be trimmed in the backyard, and next thing you know, you trim the tree, next thing you know, the whole yard needs a fresh fresh mulch or something, and now you're at Home Depot. So many different times where we have adopted our parents' lifestyle and their habits, but again, we don't have the same lifestyle. And I think we have to remember that. And I think you have to be honest with yourself, and that's the only way we can really break through this this ceiling that is holding me back from really using our time more wisely. And here's the thing, I know that I could have did something to make more money than the time I lost. And specifically because I I decided to not do something that would make me money. Now, granted, was it a lot of money? No, but it was more than wasting the time. It would have been enough to pay for that service, and I would have had energy to continue to flow through all the other things for that in the long term would possibly have dividends of payment, right? So, if anything, don't just look at the transaction of, oh, well, I don't want to spend $200 on this. Yeah, but it's $200 that you spend, but you get your energy back. Because if you don't spend the $200, you lose time and energy and money. Where you're trying to gain time and energy so that you can get more money. That's a very tough thing, but that value system that we've been indoctrinated to, and it's not a negative indoctrination. It's just we've experienced these people growing up and we've looked at them in such good light and they've been in our life so long that we just want to model what our parents are doing. Not a bad thing, but it's a thing. And so getting out of that Saturday programming is one thing. And then I mentioned how I have issues paying for stuff. That's that DIY survival that you have to break as well. Um this whole HGTV era has caused way too many people to lose time and money and energy because we are of the belief now that we can do these things. They put it and package it into these 30-minute shows. They give us just enough education. It's almost like seeing an ad for a course on Instagram. They give you just enough information to make you think that, hey, I could do this myself. And then you go and purchase everything. And then you look up and you say, I knew, I should have just ignored this. But anyway, we have to get out of that habit. Like the value of feeling responsible and doing things yourself and remembering how your parents used to brag about things they put together or how they built things, or remember the old times of how men put stuff together or women could just cook from nothing. Man, you gotta get throw that out the window. I ain't gonna lie. And I get it, paying somebody feels wasteful, but think about it from a survival tactic. If you went to a 9 to 5 all day, that means you got ready an hour and a half before work. Some of y'all live down the street from your job, so you say, "I only live 10 minutes away, it's a 10-minute commute." You still got up an hour and a half before, and then an hour and a half to 2 hours afterwards, you have to decompress, right? It takes you that whole day to get to 7 PM, and now you're just supposed to be ready to work? I don't think so. You're supposed to be ready to just dive in? I don't think so. Everybody's not like that. And stop using the outliers. You can't just use outliers of success as an excuse for you to keep doing a thing that hasn't yielded any results. The main thing is you got to break these cycles of being like our parents. And it's not a bad thing. It's just a necessity because your lifestyle is different from their lifestyle. Like my parents used to say, "Yeah, man, I spent all day working on the car or this and that." And their friends did the same thing and they loved it and it was cool. But you know what? Now work comes home with you. They didn't have Outlook on their on their iPhone or their Android. They didn't have Slack that can just follow you home. So you have to like fight that cause of making sure that your time at home is protected. And unfortunately, it's got to be protected against itself. So whether you got a house or apartment or a car, all these things that you could work on that are time sucks, you got to cut that out. Got to cut that out and stop feeling guilty for paying people. Yes, these were rich people activities at one point in time. It does sound ridiculous to pay somebody to clean your house. It does sound ridiculous to pay somebody to cook your meals. It does sound ridiculous for somebody to meal prep for you. It does sound ridiculous to get a trainer when you know what a push up is. It does sound ridiculous to get somebody to cut your grass. All of this stuff sounds ridiculous. I admit that. But so what? Yeah, get past it so you can be successful the way you want to be successful. Because you signed up to have a side hustle, small business, and all this other stuff. You signed up for that. If not, then yeah, go to work, come home, take care of the kids if you have some, or hang with your friends if you have some, and then when you got free time, by all means, like tinker around in the garage, tinker around the car, paint the house, whatever you want to do, and then don't complain about the time you could have been working on your business. You feel me? But yeah, that's just something I thought about. Remember, the value system of work doing things on your own makes you feel responsible, but also that same value system of doing things on your own proves to you and people in your family and your society and that kid inside that you're not lazy. Those two things, being responsible and proving you're not lazy, will set you back. And you won't have the capacity or energy to do the things you need to do for your business so that it can be successful, so that you don't still feel trapped by this job. That's all I got. It was a rant, but it was needed. It was a rant, but it was real. Oh, I'm about to get in my freestyle bag. But nah, I'm gonna get out of here. My boring success. Subscribe for more. Peace.